What comes to mind when you think of a fox? Cute, wild, or something supernatural? In Chinese culture, foxes have always carried a strong mystical meaning. In ancient China, people believed in the fox spirit, a fox that could transform into a beautiful woman, seduce men, and absorb their life energy, then cultivate to be immortals. Maybe that's why people began worshipping fox spirits. Some even invited them into their homes, hoping it would bring them wealth, protection, good fortune. But is that really how it works? In today's episode of Ghost Tour China, we are heading to Windsor House in Hong Kong, a building rumored to be haunted by fox spirits. Maybe this story can answer that question for you. A quick heads up, there will be a fox jump scare in this video, and whenever you see this icon, ready to cover your eyes. Alright, let's go. Let's set the scene. In the 1970s, and Hong Kong's economy is absolutely exploding. Skyscrapers are popping up left and right, and one of them is our main character today, Windsor House. Built in 1975 in the bustling Causeway Bay district, Windsor House wasn't just any building. It was this massive complex packed with shopping malls, hotels, entertainment venues, you name it. A lot of people had high hopes for this building, thinking it would boost business in the area, especially the developer. Now, if you know anything about Hong Kong culture, feng shui isn't just some superstition. It's serious business. So the developer did what any savvy businessman would do. He hired a feng shui master to make sure everything was aligned perfectly. The master walked around, checked everything out, and then dropped this bombshell recommendation. You need to invite a fox spirit. According to him, fox spirits represent popularity. It draws crowds. And where there are crowds, there's money. Okay, but where do you even find fox spirits? The master smiled mysteriously and pointed straight at the villa, the Haw Par Mansion. Turns out, Haw Par Mansion was a famous luxurious residence owned by two wealthy brothers, Haw and Par. Right next to the mansion was a small wooden area, and according to rumors, that was where the fox spirits lived. The developer didn't even hesitate. Making money, that's a no-brainer. So they organized a ceremony to basically invite, or maybe relocate is a better word, these fox spirits from the woods into Windsor House. Everything went according to plan, but right before leaving, the feng shui master gave them a warning. Look, foxes are wild creatures. You can't control them. I've set up a spiritual barrier to keep them contained and prevent any chaos. Just don't mess with the formation, and they'll keep bringing you business. Of course, nobody realized they just planted a ticking time bomb. Sure enough, once Windsor House opened, it was absolutely packed. Business was booming, and the developer was basically printing money. But at this point, you are probably wondering, what exactly is Haw Par Mansion? Who are these all brothers, and why on earth would they be keeping fox spirits in the first place? Well, to understand that, we need to go back to 1909 and learn about where these brothers came from. So, if you grew up in China, in Asia, you definitely know about this miracle ointment called tiger balm. It's like the cure-all of Chinese medicine. Reduces swelling, stops itching, clears your head when you are feeling foggy. Basically, every household had a tin of this stuff. And guess who invented it? Yup, the All brothers. In 1909, the All brothers created tiger balm, and it became a massive success. The money just kept pouring in, and before long, they became some of the wealthiest people of their time. But here's where people started getting suspicious. How does a tiny, cheap ointment suddenly blow up like that? It didn't quite add up. So naturally, rumors started spreading that the brothers had some kind of secret advantage to boost their business. And that advantage was fox spirits. Fast forward to 1935. By this point, the All brothers' fortune had reached over 100 million, an absolutely mind-blowing amount back then. Not long after, They purchased this massive plot of land on Taihang Road in Causeway Bay and constructed Haw Par Villa. This wasn't just any mansion. It was built into a hillside spread across 80 acres. That's about 6.5 football fields, and cost 16 million HKD. So when it was completed, it was the talk of the entire Hong Kong. Once the villa was finished, the entire Au family moved in, but they didn't come alone. The fox spirits came right along with them. How do we know? Well, someone noticed inside the villa, there was a tiger bomb garden where they kept all sorts of trained animals. And the most interesting part, foxes. Tons of them. And these foxes weren't just pets either. They were treated like royalty, fed the finest food, given their own special play areas. Plus, right next to the villa, there was a shrine built specifically for fox spirit worship. All the signs pointed to one conclusion: something deeper was going on in this family. And sure enough, after moving into the villa, the brothers' business kept growing and growing. They became so successful that they went on to build similar mansions in Singapore and in Fujian province, China, and each one designed under the guidance of spiritual masters. This included an 8-story pagoda called the All Pagoda, along with elaborated displays depicting the 18 levels of hell from Buddhist mythology. This made the whole family seem even more mysterious, as if they were devoted to some kind of hidden belief. Then 1937 rolled around, and China entered the war of resistance against Japan. The All brothers, to their credit, were patriots. They poured their fortune into supporting the war effort, basically draining their wealth to help the country. After the war, the family fortune was passed down to Albon Hall's daughter, Sally Alcian. Now, if you know Chinese, you will shockingly find that her name Alcian sounds exactly the same as the words for fox spirit. That can't be a coincidence, right? It's pretty much the smoking gun that proved the family's connection to fox spirit's worship. Okay, let's go back to the story. Alcian was a sharp and capable woman, and she did manage to revive the family business for a while. But eventually, some bad investment caught up with her, and the family fortune started dwindling. In the end, the family had no choice but to put Haw Par Villa up for sale. Then, Li Ka-shing bought the villa. Yes, the richest man in Hong Kong now. But here's the thing. He didn't care about fox spirits at all. The moment he acquired the property, he started demolishing it to build apartments. The public was furious. They fought back hard, and eventually, the project was forced to stop halfway. However, it was too late. The damage was done, enough to disturb the foxes. In the end, they were forced to flee into the woods nearby, and that's when Pandora's box was opened. Alright, let's jump back to Windsor House. Remember how the feng shui master set up a spiritual barrier to keep the fox spirits contained? Unfortunately, before long, the barrier was broken. Now, there are two theories about how this happened. The first one is pretty innocent. Some visitors accidentally disrupted the barrier. But the second one, way more sinister. Someone deliberately sabotaged it to release the spirits. Rumors say that two mystics came all the way from Taiwan with a plan. They wanted to take the fox spirits back with them, offering better worship, richer offerings, a more comfortable life. In the end, the fox spirits were tempted. They wanted to leave. But the barrier held them in, so what did they do next? They began cultivating power, pushing against the barrier, trying to break free. And that was a turning point. That's when disturbing events started to unfold. The first victim was a guy named Mr. Zhang, the maintenance worker who took care of the murals at Haw Par Villa. One morning, when Mr. Zhang arrived at the villa to repaint the murals, he noticed something new. Several foxes had appeared on the wall. And they weren't just rough sketches. They looked incredibly realistic. The eyes were sharp and piercing, staring straight through you. Too vivid, too detailed. There was no way someone could finish something like that in a single night. Zhang was completely baffled. He ran off to get his co-workers, but by the time everyone got there, the fox heads were gone. The wall was completely clean, like nothing ever happened. Everyone said he was imagining things and walked away, but John can't let it go. It became an obsession. For days afterward, he kept going back to that wall, staring at it, hoping to see the foxes again. He got so fixated on it that he developed severe anxiety. Eventually, it got so bad that he had to take medical leave. But Mr. Zhang's sighting was just the beginning. A few days later, the same fox designs appeared inside Windsor House. This time, on a decorative marble slab at the entrance. And as you can imagine, Windsor House is always crowded, so the designs were noticed immediately. People started gathering around, word spread quickly, and soon, visitors were coming from all over Hong Kong just to see this strange phenomenon. Eventually, it got so out of hand that the management had to shut down the building for an entire day. What's more, the very next morning, employees were shocked to find the children's clothing department completely trashed. Merchandise is scattered everywhere. At first, everyone assumed it was a break-in, but after investigating, they found nothing. No one broke in, no alarms went off, and that's when the feng shui master weighed in. According to him, this wasn't a burglary. It was just a playful young fox spirit sneaking into the children's department to mess around. Nothing harmful, and everyone just let it pass. But was it really harmless? For the next month, Windsor House was quiet. No strange incidents, no fox sightings. The eerie atmosphere gradually faded from people's minds. Then, a prominent couple chose this very place to hold a celebration for their newborn baby. In Chinese culture, this is called a full moon banquet. It's a big traditional celebration marking the baby's first month of life. The event was packed. Tons of guests showed up. The atmosphere was lively and festive. Ironically, by now, the fox spirit rumors were mostly just an urban legend, a story people laughed about over drinks. But that night, after the celebration ended, something absolutely terrifying happened. The baby's mother had a nightmare about a fox. In the dream, she found herself back at Windsor House, walking through a dark and familiar corridor. The space is vast and empty. Every footstep echoed loudly through the silence, creating this overwhelming sense of dread. She kept walking until she reached the wall. Hanging on it is this deep red cloth, blood red, draped over something like it's concealing a secret. Curiosity overtook her fear. Slowly, she reached out to pull the cloth aside, and what she saw made her blood run cold. It was a marble slab with 7 foxes carved into it. But these weren't just decorative carvings, they looked alive. Eyes glowed crimson, so vivid, it was as if the blood would drip from them. The mother gasped. Instinctively, she tried to run, but at that moment, the largest fox, the one in the center, leaped out of the stone. It squatted in front of her, growing bigger and bigger, until its head nearly scraped the ceiling. Seeing this, the mother was paralyzed with fear. She collapsed to the ground, unable to move. The giant fox towered over her, then slammed one enormous paw down on her chest, pinning her in place.
Wretched humans, you feast on my ground and offer me no libation? How dare you! I will take your child as punishment.
The next moment, the mother jolted awake, absolutely drenched in sweat, heart pounding out of her chest. The dream felt disturbingly real, too real. Panic set in. She frantically shook her husband awake and told him everything, and both of them threw on their clothes and rushed to the nursery. The baby was lying in the crib, completely still. His face was ghostly pale. He wasn't breathing. The couple was in shock. They grabbed him and raced to the hospital, but it was too late. The doctor said the baby had been dead for several hours. As for what caused it, an autopsy was required. The official results were never published, but rumors said that during the autopsy, the medical examiner discovered the baby's body had been completely drained of blood. Not a single drop remained. Considering the mother's dream, people started whispering that it was a fox spirit, literally sucking out every drop of blood to absorb the baby's energy. And that tragedy was at the beginning. After that, nearly every baby's whose celebration was held at Windsor House died shortly afterward. Even stranger, all the parents reported seeing the same terrifying fox in their dreams. Many had never even heard of the fox spirit rumors, yet they all dreamed of the same massive, red-eyed fox threatening to kill their baby. As you can imagine, chaos erupted. No one wanted to set foot in Windsor House anymore. The once thriving building became a forbidden zone. The developer was in full crisis mode. His golden goose was dying. So once again, he called the feng shui master for help. The master examined the building thoroughly and finally discovered the truth. The formation had been broken. The fox spirits had escaped, and now they were running wild, seeking revenge. Now that the master understood what was happening, he immediately got to work. He performed rituals and managed to sell away most of the fox spirits, but there was one, stronger and more aggressive, that was almost impossible to control. As a last resort, the master placed a special spiritual artifact inside Windsor House. Before leaving, he warned, this artifact is the cornerstone holding everything together. Under no circumstances should anyone move it. Ever. And of course, because this is how these stories always go, someone moved it. A cleaning lady, just doing her job, accidentally mistook the artifact for trash and threw it away. Just like that, the most dangerous fox spirit broke free. And where did it go? It escaped to a residential area nearby on Conduit Road and took refuge inside an old tray. Technically, that's where the story could have ended. Most of the fox spirits were contained, one slipped through, and Windsor House returned to normal operations. Case closed, right? But I know what you're thinking. That's a pretty unsatisfying ending. What happened to that escaped fox? Did he just live happily ever after in a tree? Well, I wasn't satisfied either. So I did some digging, and it turns out the rest of the story is actually documented in 2 films. The Ultimate Belief 1992 and its 1993 sequel. These are documentary-style films that feature interviews with people who supposedly experienced these events firsthand. So what I'm about to share next isn't hearsay. It's directly from those films. Honestly, that fox has some crazy strong energy going on. Because once it fled into a nearby residential complex, bizarre incidents began to unfold. Women living in that area started becoming widows at an alarming rate. Even new tenants who just moved in, their husband would mysteriously die within 6 months. Then, as time went on, the curse seemed to spread throughout the entire building. People kept dying for unexplained reasons. The building became known for having an unusually high number of widows, widowers, and people living alone, way beyond what you'd expect. But that wasn't all. Elderly male residents in the area suddenly started developing leg problems. People who were perfectly healthy started having strange leg pain. And those who already had a limp, their condition suddenly worsened. And the strangest part is, it was always just one leg. Not both, just one. At the same time, the tree trunk where the fox spirits was hiding began to grow and twist, slowly taking on the shape of a fox. So naturally, people connected the dots. They said the fox spirits biting residents' legs, causing the illness. Now I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm skeptical about this particular claim. When a bunch of people in the same area develop similar health problems, there are usually environmental factors at play. Could be water quality, air pollution, who knows? We have no way to verify that, and I can't definitively say one way or another. Just when everyone was sinking into fear, a mysterious woman appeared. She was Miss Huang, a spiritual master from Taipei. According to her, she had come to Hong Kong to take away all the fox spirits. At first, she had no idea any of this was happening. But one day, she received a message from the fox spirit mother, the one who oversees all fox spirits and is spiritually connected to her. The fox mother told her that several young fox spirits were trapped inside Windsor House in Hong Kong and desperately needed help. So without hesitation, Miss Huang came to rescue them. But Miss Huang mentioned one detail that was different from all the other accounts. She said those young fox spirits weren't evil or malicious. They were just playful. After the stores closed at night, they would sneak out and try on children's shoes, just messing around. But people freaked out. They called it master to sell them, and that's what made them angry. Of course, I'm not sure which version explained the real reason of the infant's deaths. Stories like this evolve over time, and multiple versions are inevitable. When Miss Huang realized how serious things had become, she immediately flew to Hong Kong to rescue them. She went straight to the Windsor House lobby, where the fox spirits were sealed inside the marble slab on the wall. Just as she was trying to figure out how to release them, a mysterious elderly man approached her and said, "Take these fox spirits with you, now." Turns out, this man was a feng shui master. During the earlier exorcism, she had exhausted much of his spiritual energy and needed someone to take over to prevent the situation from getting out of control again. And it was also him who urged the fox spirits to contact their fox mother, which eventually led them to Miss Huang. Fortunately, Miss Huang arrived just in time and took them all away, and you will never guess how she transported them. She used a spoon-shaped ritual tool and scooped the fox spirits into a jade container, one spoonful at a time. And with that, she brought all of them back to Taiwan, including the one that had escaped, and relocated them to Yangmingshan, a mountain area where they could cultivate peacefully with other foxes. Despite all the disturbing stories and the tragic deaths, the commercial value of Windsor House, completely untouched. Today, it still stands proudly in the heart of Hong Kong, thriving, busy, and regarded as one of the major commercial landmarks in the area. And yet, there's one final detail worth mentioning. According to rumors, on the rooftop of Windsor House, the management secretly built a children's playground. But this wasn't for living children. It was supposedly built for the spirits of those babies who died. This secret only got out when a building employee who was working late accidentally discovered it. And that's a complete story of the Windsor House. You know, this whole tale reminds me of an old Chinese saying, inviting the gods is easy, sending them away is hard. Using mystical forces to boost your luck and wealth is like walking a tightrope. One wrong move, one moment of carelessness, and you plummet into disaster. But even knowing this, people still can't resist. When massive profits are on the line, when the promise of wealth and success is dangling right in front of you, very few people choose to walk away. Even me. Alright, that wraps up today's video. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this wild ride. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you've heard any other version of this story. See you next time. Good night.